Hi, I'm Marvin Weaver, and this afternoon I'm going to show you how to assemble a Cackellac 1312. You're going to need these wrenches, ratchet wrench, half-inch ratchet, rubber hammer so we don't damage the galvanizing, and a grease gun. So we're going to start with a side panel and a hood. Alright, now we're ready to set the front panel in place here. This is the front end. Set this in place. It goes inside this angle of the side panel here. That is the swivel bracket. We like to have our swivel brackets at the front end of the shelter. We put that on there. We're going to get our vice grip and clamp that together. And we're going to get our packet of bolts. We're going to need the 5/16 by 2-inch bolts. Those would be the biggest ones in the packet, roughly flush at the bottom. If not, you might need to use the locking pliers or clamp, C-clamp would work, and pull that in. Put that in there and fasten the nut, and do the same for the other two bolts. And after that, we'll do the other side with the other long swivel bracket. Put the other end in place. This is the rear end. And we're going to get our rigid wheel brackets, part number 112 and 111. We're going to bolt them in place there. And we always want to make sure that when this slides in there, the bolt is sticking out. So that needs to be out. Alright, so again we want to make sure this is flush at the bottom. This is flush at the bottom here. And you might want to put a block under there. I'm going to block this up a little so it's closer to flush there, and with the bolt sticking out, and make sure this lines up for those holes there. Part number 112 and part number 111, the rigid wheel brackets. Now we're ready to install the ridge pole. We're going to use 7/16 by 1-inch bolts. We're going to put one bolt through each one of these little angle brackets. We're going to fasten the nut, and we're going to use a 1-inch bolt on each one of these. Each one of these little angle brackets on every hoop. We're going to slide part number 122 under the clip here. That is the brake plate for the wheel mechanism, and we're going to insert the spring onto the little tabs there and set that in place. Just gonna set that there. Now we're going to apply some grease to the the sliding tube of this part here, part number 117. Just a small amount of grease on there so that it can slide up and down freely. Over on this side. Alright, so now we're going to, I got my rubber gloves, or my plastic gloves to keep my hands from getting too greasy. We're going to slide that in there with the spindle turning inwards. That is for your wheel to go on, and you want your wheel, you don't want your wheel sticking out past the edge of the shelter so that you can, it's not quite so wide, you can get through narrower spaces. You're going to slide that right in there. And we're going to pull down the brake plate to release that so it can slide. And then we're going to let go, release that, and that's locked in place. When you want to slide that up and down, you just press down on that brake plate and it can slide. You let go and that releases, that locks it. Then we're going to take our handle, that's the lifting handle, pointing towards the shelter. We're going to insert that like so. Fasten a 1/2 inch nut with a 3/4 inch wrench on there, and we're going to just make it snug and maybe back it off just a little bit again to avoid us having it going too tight. We don't want that to be tight so that we can easily still move the handle. We're going to get our linkage here. We're going to install that onto the nut on this side and onto this bolt here. We're going to fasten that with a 3/4 inch nut on there and a 3/4 inch nut on the bolt. And again, we don't want to make them too tight. Now we're going to do the other side, same, with the spindle pointing inwards, and then we're going to go to the front end. To pump some grease into the hub of the wheel here. Now we can always add some more afterwards using the grease fitting on this side here. So now we're going to slide that on there. And insert the little cotter pin in the little hole there. And we're going to take our pliers and just spread that a little bit to keep it from coming out. I'm just going to bend it like that. Here. That's good. Now we're going to do the other side, and then we'll take it off the buckets and put the buckets in the other end, ready to start at the other end. Install this. We install this slider bar, this vertical bar, with the little tube on the top pointing this way. So just keep that in mind when you're sliding that one in. Now we've got our washer, the big washer. We're going to slide that on the bottom here, but first we'll just give it a little bit of squeeze. Now we're going to take our washer, slide it on there, and we're going to take part number 115 on the right hand side when you're standing in front of the filter. So we're going to slide that on there, and then we're going to get another cotter pin and insert that in the little hole on the bottom. And again, we're going to get her pliers and just give that a little bend. To grease this wheel, put some grease in the hub again. And we're going to stick it on. So we've got these done. We've got the wheels ready to use. I'll show you how that works. You can slide that up and down. So we're going to lift it up a little bit, and we're going to install these anchors. We're going to install 4 of them, 1 on each corner. That's part number 129 on the right hand side, and the same on the back on the right hand side, the opposite corner. Part number 128 is on the other side. So I'm going to show you how to do one. We're going to insert the bolts from the bottom up, through the bracket here. Bolts on the bottom, and we're going to put our 5/16 inch nut on top. We're going to do that on all 4 corners. I'll show you how to do the push bars. We're going to use a 1 inch bolt, and I'll have to open the door. I'll do this one first just to show you, and we'll mount that one later. Needs to have somebody to hold the bolts from the inside. Okay, now we're going to install the spring for the door. That goes in there, one of those holes. And now we're going to take the nut and put that on the outside. Fasten that on there. Going to have to use the wrench there. Right, I got myself a bucket to stand on, and so I'll have to really stretch this spring, stretch it onto the, turn it that way, and hook it onto that little bolt there, and then before it pops off, I'll put the nut on there to keep it on there. Okay, now we're going to show you how to install the panel under the door. Open the door. That's part number 108. And you just slide it in there with the little bolts, barrel bolts at the top. Make sure they're in. Hook it in the bottom, and then we're going to latch the bolt on the inside. We're just going to latch the bolts into those holes there on both sides, like that. Alright, now we're ready to install the cover. We've got our cover laid out here, and we're just going to, next step is to slide our tubes in here. The smaller 1/2 inch diameter tube is going to be at the bottom, so I'm just going to slide that right in. It's easier with 2 people. Sometimes you have to crowd it up at that end, just so it'll slide in easier. That this sleeve is on the outside, is on the top. This is the outside of the cover. So we're going to use our bigger 3/4 inch rod, our tube, here. Just insert it in there, and we've got our proper straps laid out there. And as we go along, we're going to insert the straps. Okay, so I stuck it in there. And you have to kind of put your finger in there and work it in. I'll slide the tube through there. There, got it started. Slide it in there. Now, next we're going to have our little short one with the buckle, and we want the buckle turned outward like that. The button on the outside, so you can work it. So we're going to insert it that way. We got the smooth strap on the outside without a buckle, plain strap, and we got the buckle one, another without the buckle, the one with the buckle, and the one on the end without the buckle. Drag the cover over. So the tubes are on the side. You can see where we had the tube. The tarp is wider this way than the actual length. Just keep that in mind. So we've got the tubes hanging down the sides. And remember the sleeve on the outside, the straps on the outside. So we're just going to grab our ratchet straps here. Insert the end in here, not too far. And tighten. Sorry, it's getting a little dark. It's a little hard to see. We're just going to give it a little bit and do the other ones on this side. I'm going to have Jesse do that, and then we're going to do the other side. You just put on a little bit of, just so that it won't come undone. Next we're going to take these straps. We want to be sure this part is extending over the end here, all the way. So we're going to take the end of this strap, and we've cut loose all of these ratchets so that we can use them. We're going to take that, insert it in there, and tighten it down. We're not going to tighten anything too much until we're sure that it's all centered. So we're going to do the same over here. And tighten that. So this will come down like that, and we're going to tighten it down a lot more after we've got this centered up. We've brought these side straps out here, and we're going to put them in there, and whenever you want to ventilate this, you just cinch it up like that. So we'll show you a video later of this thing in action in the summertime. We'll do another one of these with chickens in it, and I hope this gives you a better idea of how these work, how easy it is to put them together. It took the two of us about 3 hours or so to put this together. You might want to allow a little bit more time though. Okay, thanks for watching.